Okay, so we've finished the outside cover and connected it on the bottom so that the ball is now all enclosed with this very nice net pattern on the top. And these little lines of beads going down to the bottom to connect the bottom. So what we're going to do next is attach the decorations that are going to hang off the ball. And if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. So I did the first one to see about the length and how many beads. And I'm going to put this white paper in here for you to see it better. So for my ball, and the 7mm bugle beads, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bugle beads with the repeating gold, blue, gold seed bead pattern, a decorative crystal bead on the bottom, and then a teardrop bead, and then a gold bead. And 4 of these are going to go around the ball. There are 5, if you count straight across from where this bead is, it's going to be 1, the second gold bead up in this little diamond, and there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be the 5th bead over from where you start. So there'll be 4 empty gold beads between this bead and where this bead connects. So, and that's for this decorative loop. To start the next one, I've got my string coming out of this bead. That's before where I connected this bead. So the one before this bead is where we're going to start the next scallop. Is that what you call these things? I don't know, but they're pretty. And we're going to start with a gold, blue, gold seed beads, and then in between those seed beads, 5 of the bugle beads. So you're going to end up with 6 sets of the gold, blue, gold seed beads in between the bugle beads. So gold, blue, gold, a bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, a bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, another bugle bead, gold, blue, gold. Let me slide those off the needle. A bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, and 1 more bugle bead. So that's 5 bugle beads and 1 more gold, blue, gold. So you have 5 bugle beads and 6 sets of the gold, blue, gold round beads. Okay. Now I just like to do a little, go down through that last bead. And you don't have to do this if you don't want, but it kind of holds your beads in place. It's like a little slip knot. And that keeps those beads from sliding down. Next, I'm going to pick up a little crystal bead. You can use whatever you want. A gold bead. And then our blue drop. And then a gold bead. So we got our little crystal element, a gold bead, a drop, and then a gold bead. So now you're going to skip that gold bead. So up through the bugle bead again, the first gold bead, and that decorative crystal. Coming out at the end of the decorative crystal. Pull your string. Make sure you don't have any slack line in there. And then you're going to repeat the pattern. Starting with gold, blue, gold, a bugle bead, and do this until you have 5 bugle beads and 6 sets of the gold, blue, gold. And of course your pattern color might be different if you're doing different colors of beads. So that's 3. 4. 5, ending with the gold, blue, gold. Okay, so now we're going to count from this bead where we started across 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to sew in through the 5th gold bead. Okay, these overlap right here, just a little bit. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4 gold beads in between, and then sew into that 5th gold bead. I like to do a slip knot just to hold those in place. And pull it so it's snug. You don't want to pull it so tight that your beads get all I don't know what you call it, too wonky, too gathered up. Okay, so now to start our next bead like this, we have to go back to this gold bead. So I'm just going to go down. I'm skipping, just going to go across across this gold bead. That's going to be covered by the beads we're doing. Go down to the gold bead down here. And then up through these beads so that you're coming out the gold bead. That's just before where we ended our last swag. Maybe that's what they're called, a swag. Okay, so this is where you're going to start your next swag. So again, the same pattern, gold, blue, gold, a bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold, bugle. Slide those down. We need one more bugle, so gold, blue, gold, our fifth bugle, and then end with a gold, blue, gold. Okay. I'm going to do my little slip knot on that, going down through that last gold bead. There. Just to keep the beads from sliding down. Next we're going to pick up our little crystal bead, a gold bead, and then a drop, and then a gold bead, just like the last time. Skip that gold bead, go back up through the bugle bead, the gold bead, and the decorative crystal. Pull your string taut, and then repeat that pattern of gold, blue, gold, and a bugle bead. Now you don't have to copy my exact bead patterns, you can come up with your own. The reason I'm doing a gold, blue, gold is just because I think that with that blue bugle bead, it looks better than putting a blue, gold, blue. I just think it looks nicer with the gold next to the blue bead. So that's 3. Okay, that's 5. So we're going to count over to our 5th gold bead from where we started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So through that gold bead, secure it in place. I just like to do a slip knot. Make sure you have your string on the okay, and then we need one more swag. So we're going to start here. 1, 2, oops, where'd we go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll cross over that beginning swag. So I'm going to sew down through these beads. Come on. And then to that gold bead there. That will be where we start our next swag, our last swag for this row. And the same pattern of gold, blue, gold, and a bugle bead. And then our last crystal gold bead. Oops. Drop and a gold. And then the same pattern on the other side, gold, blue, gold, and a bugle, so that you have 5 bugles, starting and ending with a gold, blue, gold. Last bugle and last gold, blue, gold. Okay. Now 5 over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will bring us on the other side of where we started our swags. So sew through that. Oh, my needle came off my thread. So the gold bead on the other side of where we started our swags. Okay. And we're also kind of at the end of my string, so I'm going to go ahead and start securing my thread in place and get a new thread ready. Did a slip knot there, and then I'm just going to sew my thread up through and secure it. Okay, these are very difficult to see, but we have 4 of these very pretty blue swags hanging off the bottom of our float. So the next thing we're going to work on is, so on my gold one, we just did this bottom one. So the next one we're going to do is this next one right here. And you can keep going, or if you don't like all these little things, you don't have to do them. I just think that they look pretty. So we're going to work on this one next, right here. So to do that, our swag ended in the bead below. So to start this next swag, we want to thread our needle and make sure that we're ready to start in the gold bead above where the 2 swags intersect. And this one will be 2 or 3 bugle beads. I used longer bugle beads on this one, so we might need 3 bugle beads. We'll see as we go and see how it looks. So I'm gonna thread some more, get some more thread secured to my ball and get ready to start. Okay, I got my thread sewn in there and ready to start. I'm coming out of this this gold bead right between where the 2 swags start and end. So it's also the second bead above the bottom bead. So we're going to do that pattern again of gold, blue, gold, a bugle, gold, blue, gold, a bugle, and gold, blue, gold, bugle, and gold, blue, gold. You do want these, the middle of these swags to kind of match. So I think 3 of these shorter bugle beads that I'm using will work with 3 sets of the gold, blue, gold. So on this one, I am using another drop bead, a smaller, well actually on this one I use the same size. But on this one, I'm going to use a smaller drop bead here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a slip knot on that last gold bead just to hold my beads in place. And on this one, I thought a gold actually it's topaz. I thought a topaz bugle bead would look good. Only because I don't have enough different sizes of these blue drops. And since we're going with a gold, blue, gold pattern, I thought the gold would look okay here. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a gold bead to go at the end of that drop, skip the drop or the round gold bead and sew up through the drop. Pull your string, your thread, so it looks like that. And then gold, blue, gold, a bugle, gold, blue, gold, another bugle, and gold, blue, gold, one more bugle, and gold, blue, gold. Now this one, we have 1, 2, 3 gold beads between this little swag. And we're going to sew into the 4th gold bead. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and we're going to sew into the 4th one, which should also be the bead between these 2 first swags we did. Okay. Go ahead and secure that. The slip knot. Make it snug. And there we have our first shorter swag. And we're going to continue that all the way around so that we have 4 of these swags, starting and stopping between the gold bead between the first 2 swags. Okay, so I've got my last swag on this second round ready to attach, and it's going to attach to that where we started our first swag. Now we could have probably used gold bugles and it might be more of a contrast, but I just was really liking these blue bugle beads, so I'm going to secure that with a slip knot. Okay, so we've got 2 swags. Now the third one is going to be a much shorter swag. And it is going to start end to end on the gold beads just above where we ended and started the last swag, except for kind of in, so that there'll only be 2 gold beads between the first gold bead and where the second gold bead secures. These gold bugles are about the same size as I'm using, so probably we'll be able to do 2, and then a decorative element, which I don't have a blue one in that size, so I'm going to use these smaller blue ones. Or I might be able to get away with a gold one. The problem is this topaz, I only have 3. And my 4th one is not a bicone. It's a different type of bead. That's a bicone. The 4th one I have that's in that color is a different shape. And not quite the same color. So I could probably get away with it. And probably nobody would notice unless they studied it really hard. Ideally, I'd like to have 4 matching bicones. But we'll see how it goes. So we're going to thread our needle up to this next going in. To the next gold bead. I don't know if you can see that. And that's where we're going to start our next swag, which will be a very much shorter swag. So this one's going to have a gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold, bugle, and gold. I'm going to keep blue, gold, blue, or gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold. So we're going to try it with just the gold. Pick up the bicone, pick up a gold, and then a bugle, and then the gold, blue, gold, bugle, and gold, blue, gold. So let's see how that lays, because I do want it to look good. And with that last one off center, I didn't really like it. See, that's much better, and it's lines up with the drop below it. So I'm happy with that. So on this one, with the beads I'm using, we're going to do the gold, blue, gold, a bugle, gold, blue, gold, a bugle, and then a gold bead, the bicone, and then repeat the same on the other side. I'm going to secure this with a slip knot. Make it snug, and I think that looks good. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start in this bead right here. So we're going to skip this section and go to the next gold bead. So I'm going to work up and back down. If I can get my needle in the bead. Make sure your thread doesn't get caught on the other beads. So back down and through that gold bead. That's to the right of where our last swag ended. And that's where we're going to start this swag. Okay, so you're going to repeat that pattern until you have 4 of these of, well, for mine, I use the gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold, bugle, a gold, a bicone, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold, bugle, gold, blue, gold. And you'll continue that until you have 4 of those. Okay, I have my last string of beads for this last swag on the second row, ready to attach. Just going to slip knot it to secure it. Okay, so we have 2 completed swags. Oh, I'm sorry, 3. That was our 3rd swag. So we've got 3 completed swags. And you can stop there if you want or continue. I'm going to do 1 more swag. This one's a very small swag. We have 1 bugle. I am going to use that blue crystal bead because I don't have any more of those bicones. And then a bugle. So 2 sets of blue, gold, blue, a bugle, blue, gold, blue, and then our little blue crystal, and we'll see how that lines up. So on this one, we're going to start again above and to the right of where the last swag started. So I'm going to thread my string up through these beads to this gold bead right here. Actually, we're going to go up again. We're going to go up to the gold bead above where we started the last one. So I'm going to thread my needle up and then back down again. We'll see how that works. And again, if you want to stop at 3 swags, it's your float. You can do whatever you want. So if I do that, that's just going to go to the next. So it's going to be very short. We might not even have room for a bugle bead. So let's see. Blue, gold, blue. The blue crystal bead, and then blue, gold, blue, and see how that looks. So I've got blue, gold, blue, that crystal bead, and blue, gold, blue, because this is a very short. It's going to go into the gold bead right next. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's not going to be real noticeable, but that little bead will catch the light when it's hanging in your window. So we're going to continue that. We'll have to work our thread all the way over to this bead up here. So it's going to be where this one started to up and to the right. So let's go ahead and sew our needle through you're gonna go, you can go down or up. I'm going up. Through these beads, stop at the gold bead, and we're trying to go over to this bead right here. So I'm going to go up again. Up and then back down so that we get to this bead here. Okay, we are on that second bead above where we started our last swag. So it's a gold, blue, gold. Our crystal. And gold, blue, gold. So across to the next gold bead. And then we'll do this 2 more times. And that will be the completion of our swags. Okay, I'm attaching the last little swag. Which I don't know if that really is considered a swag, but It adds a touch of something. Gonna go ahead and secure it with a slip knot. And that finishes up all the swags. Okay, so I've threaded my needle with more thread, and I've actually connected my thread to the top of the float. I've decided to do the hanger next, and then finish with our dangles, or I did watch some videos where other people called these strings dangles, and the long pretty beads that hang off the bottom, tassels. So tassels, dangles, whatever they're called, they're pretty. But now I'm doing the hanger so that you can hang this float up. So I went ahead and started it, and I like mine about that length. You can make them as long or short as you like. I think I usually tend to make mine all about the same length. I have added, continuing with our same pattern of a gold, a blue, a gold, and then a blue bugle bead with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bugle beads. Now, of course, if you are using a longer bugle bead, you definitely won't need 14. I think I normally do 8 to 10 bugle beads on my hangers, but it just depends on how long you want your hanger to be. And these are shorter bugle beads. So I've already done the first part of the hanger. I've done a slip knot to secure those beads. And now I'm ready for the little choke bead up here. That will go right there. And then I'm going to continue my pattern of a gold, blue, gold, a bugle, a gold, blue, gold, and bugle. And then that brings us to my turning point. This is the part that's going to hang on whatever you're going to hang it from. So you can continue with the gold, blue, gold, and then a blue and a gold, because that's the, for me, that's where it's going to hang on a hook or a nail or something. So you don't want a bugle bead up there on the top. So now I'm going to pick up another bugle bead, a gold, blue, gold, a bugle bead, and then a gold, blue, gold. And that completes our pattern. Gonna sew through that choke bead, or this big decorative bead right here. You can call it whatever you want. I don't really know what it's called, but stop bead. I don't know. It's whatever kind of pretty decorative bead you want to hang there. I wouldn't get too extravagant with it because it is going to be hanging from up high, and while it's noticeable, it won't be as noticeable as the beads hanging off of the float or off of the bottom of the float. The tassels or dangles, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so now I'm going to do this same pattern coming down. You want to repeat this length coming down, and we're going to connect it to the other side of where we started this one. So you want to make sure that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bugle beads if you're using the same size of bugle bead as I'm using. If you're using a longer bugle bead, you may want to use less bugle beads, just depending on how long you want this hanger to be. Okay, so I have my 14 bugle beads, ending with a blue gold or gold blue gold set of round beads, and that's the first half of our hanger. So now we're going to connect that across from where we started our hanger. So we started our hanger here. We're just going to go across to this gold bead on the other side and sew our needle through there. I'm just sewing through a couple of round beads, and then I'm going to do a slip knot. Okay, now you want to sew through to the next middle bead that's between these two sections. So that's probably this bead right here. So I'm just going to sew my needle through these beads on the top. Which can be difficult sometimes, especially if you made them nice and tight. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4th bead, 1, 2, 3, 4th bead. So that's in the middle. And this is why I used 8/0 beads up here on the top between the two 11/0 beads to make it easier to thread the hanger on. So now you're just going to do the same thing you did on the first part of this hanger. You're going to make another string of 14 bugle beads with your gold, blue, gold round beads between them. And I'll see you when you get to the top. Okay. So I finished my string of beads, starting the second strand for the hanger. And now when I get those 14 bugle beads and 11/0s, I'm going to sew through this stop bead or choke bead, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to sew through there, and then you can go ahead and sew your needle through the beads that are already on the top of the hanger. There's going to be a lot of stress on this hanger, because while the ball itself doesn't weigh a whole bunch, it is going to be hanging 24/7. So I just like to sew through all these beads. A couple more times and reinforce that, the strength of that hanger, by adding more thread through there. Come on. So when I get to the bottom of that bead, next to that stop bead, I'm just going to sew. Keep getting tangled on everything. All right. Seem to have gotten a mess here. Did I sew through the wrong needle or something? Okay. So now we're back at the bottom of that little hanger loop. I'm going to sew back up through all those hanger beads once more, just to reinforce the strength of that hanger. Okay, when you get to the bottom, go ahead and sew down through that decorative bead there. So now we're going to finish off this hanger by making another string of beads with 14 for me, bugle beads, that we're going to connect on the other side of where we started this hanger over here. So I'll see you there. Okay, I have finished that strand of beads, and now I'm ready to connect it. Oops, come here. To the bead over here on the other side. So you could also do like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the middle bead. Just sew through that bead. I'm going to tie a slip knot. And then I'm just going to sew this string in, thread in all the way around. Just to reinforce that. If I can get the bead in. Come on. Doing some slip knots around along the way. You can also sew your thread down through into the netted part of the pattern instead of going all the way around if you'd like. Just to finish off this thread, tie it off and secure it. I think that's probably good. Do another knot here. And then just sew up through this needle, through this bead, and then I'm going to use my thread burner to cut that off and then melt that thread. I sometimes like to do that while I go, so I don't have to go back and do that. So here we have the hanger for our float. Next, we're going to start adding tassels or dangles, whatever you want to call them, to the bottom of this. I'm going to add 8 tassels. So I'm going to skip, sew down through one of these strings of beads and start the tassel here, and then skip one and then another tassel. So every other string of beads I'm going to do a tassel, so that I have 8 tassels coming off of that bottom. Okay, I've got my needle threaded with 4 arm lengths of thread. I usually do 3, but I always run out, so I'm hoping that I won't run out. We'll see. And then I threaded my thread with a couple slip knots along the way, just down through these beads coming out at the bottom of this 8/0 bead on the bottom. I like using 8/0 beads or a bigger bead on the bottom because you're going to be sewing through these beads a lot. And the smaller the bead, the harder it is to get your needle through that bead when it's got so much thread going through it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do a slip knot down here. I've already done a couple of slip knots along the way, but I'm going to go ahead and do one here. Okay, so now we're going to start on the tassels. And I've got my bugles, gold and blue beads set up here, and then what I've chosen for the decorative part of the tassel lined up here with these for the bottom teardrop bead. I think it'll look pretty awesome. So on this one, I did 2 longer bugle beads here before I added the choke bead. Make sure this choke bead is going to be big enough in this hole going through the middle of the bead for your thread to go through it at least 16 times. Because you're going to sew down through your tassel and then back up, down through the next tassel and back up. So that hole in that choke bead needs to be a good size hole. And choose a pretty bead. Why not? So, of course, the blue bugle beads that I'm using are shorter than the gold beads that I used on here, so I might use 3 beads right here, just like I did up there before I add the choke bead, and then work my way down. Now this part, just be creative. Whatever beads you want to use and whatever order you want to use them. I tend to bead in the same type of pattern. That's just my style, but of course you can choose your own style, choose your own, how you like your tassels to look. Get creative. So I'm starting with my gold, blue, gold, just like we've been doing in the bugle already, in the pattern already, a bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, another bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, and a third bugle bead, and then gold, blue, gold. So I've got 4 sets of gold, blue, gold round beads and 3 bugle beads. Now if you want to make this section longer before you put on your choke bead, it's up to you where you want to, how far down you want to string it. One more bugle bead. Another set of blue, gold, blue. Yeah, I think I like that better. And then I'm going to just secure that bead by doing a slip knot down through that last bead. So I'm going to go ahead and thread my bugle bead, my choke bead. Pull that all the way through. And then we're just going to continue with that blue, gold, blue, and a bugle bead. Make sure I'm in the camera here. Blue, gold, gold, blue, gold, bugle bead, gold, blue, gold. Easy repeat pattern to remember. We ended with blue, gold, blue, gold, so I need to pick up a bugle bead. Gold, blue, gold, bugle bead, gold, blue, gold, bugle. Now if you have longer bugle beads, I think it's better for this part of the float, because then you use less bugle beads and less seed beads by implementing the bugle beads. Plus the bugle beads, I think, are very light catching, so they make this tassel or dangle, I think, very sparkly. So we're going to continue with our pattern. Gold, blue, gold, and a bugle. And you can make these tassels as long as you want them. They don't have to be a certain length. And of course, it'll also depend on how many beads you have. So I have so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10. And now I'm going to start adding my decorative beads. So what I've got lined up here is one of these crystal beads that we've used before in our pattern, in our float. And then I'm going to use gold beads between our pattern. Then I'm going to pick up this decorative little snowflake looking bead. You can use, again, whatever beads you want. A gold bead, this small drop bead that we used. No, we didn't use this in our pattern. We used the topaz ones instead. So there's a small teardrop, a gold, a bigger gold crystal, or light topaz, probably, a gold. I have this cute this little gold. Looks like a pin, rolling pin maybe. I like it. A gold bead. And I've got these very pretty blue round balls. A gold bead, and then one of my favorite are these gold, although very hard to get the needle in sometimes, filigree type of ball. It's got little holes in it for pattern. I have them in silver and gold. I use them on almost every float. I just like them. I think they're so pretty. A gold bead, and then our final teardrop. So that's what that looks like. And then I'll probably put a gold bead on the bottom. Sometimes you can do like a little, let's choose a better bead. A gold, blue gold, just like we've been doing. Skip those, don't sew through them again. Sew up through that teardrop bead and start working your way up through all the beads that you just added. You're going to work your way all the way back up to the start of your tassel. You want to pull these taut, but not too tight, otherwise they won't hang nicely. And what that did was put this really pretty little decorative element at the bottom of that teardrop bead. So I'm going to sew up through all the beads, and this is where we need so much thread for these tassels. And like I said, get decorative, use whatever beads you have on hand. You don't have to go out and buy the exact same beads I'm using. You don't have to do it the exact same way I did it. You can choose your own style and your own preference. We all have our own styles and preferences and how we like things to look, so go with what you like. I've noticed that actually I noticed before then, but especially when I started trying to paint. In painting flowers, my flowers were always brighter than what they probably should have actually been. But after doing so many of them, I just came to accept that that's just I like bright colors, and so my flowers were always brighter because that's just what I like. So go with what you like and go with the colors you like. I've done floats in all different colors. I've even done a black and white float. Yellow, a yellow and green float. Looked like lemons and limes. It wasn't lemon and lime shaped, but the colors. Because everybody likes something different, and I do sell these floats, so not everybody's gonna like or be drawn to the same color scheme. Okay, I'm getting back up to the top through that last bead, that first gold bead we added. Now what I like to do is, I started on the left side of this gold bead, so when I get back up to the top with my thread, I like to go through the right side of that bead that I started on. And you want to sew through the 8/0 beads at the bottom. You're going to skip this line of beads and go to the next one, unless you want 16 dangles hanging off your float. And if you do, make sure you choose if you're going to use a choke bead to thread all your dangles through, so if they hang like this one does. Make sure you use a bead with a big enough hole in the middle for all those threads to fit through. Okay, I'm just going to do a slip knot just because I do. You don't have to. I probably put too many knots in my work, but I don't know. I just don't want it falling apart. So now I'm just going to repeat that same process. I'll show you beading down to here, and then we're going to sew through that choke bead. But I'm not going to film me doing the whole dangle again because it's just the same pattern all over again and makes the video very long. So I've got 3. We want one more because I decided to go with 4. Doing my slip knot just because. And now, before we continue this tassel or dangle, we're going to sew through the top of this choke bead and down. Don't get tangled up in here first, so that you have both tassels coming through and down through this bead. And now you're just going to continue this pattern, which for me was 10 bugle beads and then my pretty decorative elements. And then when I get down to there, I'm going to sew all the way back up and start the next line. So I'll see you when we start the next line. Okay, so on the 10-second tassel, I worked my way back up through my beads and sewing back up through that choke bead. Okay, and then up through this thread keeps getting tangled because there's so much of it. I hope you can see back up through all the beads for that string and tassels. Make sure that's taut but not too tight, because you don't want it to be, you want it to hang nice. So there's two tassels now coming through that choke bead. And we're just going to continue this all the way around until we have 8 tassels, or however many you decided to do. Okay guys, so I am on the last tassel, adding the last decorative elements on the bottom here. I hope you're having fun with your decorative elements. Last teardrop. Sewing up through that last tassel. When I'm finished, I will take a video in my light box and some photos. Okay, this is getting very tight. I'm sure you noticed. It's a lot of thread going through that needle. And also, for whatever reason, skipping every other bead did not come out even. Not sure what happened there, but 8 tassels is more than enough. Okay, finishing up. Just gonna sew through these 8 beads on the bottom. Do a knot. Go around. Just do a knot randomly here and there. and just find a place to end your thread. Just clean up all your threads, all your ends. And there's our finished tassels. And the finished float with our pretty spectacular swags and the handle. So I'm going to make another video of this in my light box and take some photos, and I hope you guys enjoyed that and you have fun making this pattern to cover your floats with and hang them up. I love it when I have a whole bunch of them hanging from my window, especially when the evening light shines on them. It's so pretty. All right, thank you guys, and check out some of my other videos. Like and subscribe and share, please. That'd be awesome. And let me know if there's other patterns that you'd like to see me do. I will do some more different cover patterns that I've done before. Have fun and enjoy beading. Okay guys, so here is the finished float. Net pattern. Got those swags hanging off the end. You can see it right there on the side. And we've got our tassels going down through that bead. And then our tassels hanging down. I hope you guys enjoyed that and you enjoy making your own beaded float and enjoy making those tassels. Thank you again for watching.